Hi, welcome to Orlando's. Much of this information will seem kind of foreign, especially if you've never made a pizza before. Don't worry, we're here to help you and train you. We'll be reviewing quite a few items today in the making of an Orlando's pizza. Pay attention, it'll save you a lot of time in the future when you're actually cooking on the line. Remember, nothing is more important than practicing. So go ahead, roll out some dough. Roll out a large, a medium, or a small. Roll some more and more. Practice is the best way to learn. We really don't want you practicing on our customers. They deserve better. Our goal is to send out a beautiful pizza every day, every time. Follow these instructions and you'll do just fine, but deviating will create problems. Please don't deviate. Orlando's makes one dough ball for all sizes of pizza. We make our dough daily from scratch. Orlando sells two types of crust for our pizzas, a white dough and a honey butter wheat dough. People sometimes ask if there's actually butter and honey in the wheat dough, and yes, there is. Let's look at the two ways to remove dough from a tub, the flour and bang technique and the flour and persuasion technique. We prefer the flour and bang technique shown here. Watch that again. This is the flour and persuasion technique. Notice the differences in the shapes of the dough. The flour and bang technique came out much rounder than the flour and persuasion technique. That's why we prefer the flour and bang technique. Pretty sticky, so dip it in the flour and pat it. We're going to cut this dough into a small dough pizza size. Watch closely at the amount of dough that's cut off the edges. Now we'll cut off the excess dough to make a medium pizza. Notice the difference in the amount of dough cut off around the edges. A medium pizza should end up to be about 5 inches in diameter, a large is 6 inches, and a small is going to be about 4 inches in diameter. Now dip the dough in your flour. We're going to form the dough circle. Curl your fingers and make a border. The border should be about 3 1/8 inch to 1/2 inch from the edge. This is very important because it affects the way the pizza comes out. The interior of the dough ball should be mounded larger in the middle than on the edges. This will allow room to stretch the dough without making it thin in the middle. Be sure your fingers are tucked under so you don't poke a hole in the dough as you work with it. Common practice is to slap the dough. One of the main purposes of slapping the dough is to remove the flour, but it also helps to begin stretch the dough. After the slap, the fun part begins. The throw. Again, keep your fingers tucked under and toss the dough using both hands and rotating one hand in the direction of the turn. This will help the dough to continue to pull out in the correct circle. And as always, practice, practice, practice. Grab a large perforated pizza screen and place the dough onto the screen. Lay it out nicely and look at it. It should be nice and round. It should completely cover the screen with a small portion of the dough overhanging the screen, and it should still have a small border on the edge of the crust. It should be nice and even on the bottom, no thin or thick spots. That is our goal. Now it's time to dock the dough. Roll it over the dough several times, perforating the dough completely. You might experience the dough shrinking a little bit after it's been docked, and now you should fix it. Stretch it out nicely on the screen. If it needs more stretching, go ahead and pick it up and toss it to expand it again. Then lay it down nicely on the screen. Since this is a large pizza, we'll pour a full 6-ounce ladle of sauce on the pizza. For a small, use the same ladle but only fill it halfway. For a medium, fill the ladle approximately 3/4 full, pouring most of it directly in the middle of the dough. Then use the bottom of the ladle and spread the pizza sauce around. Do your very best not to get it on the edge of the border of the pizza because it'll cause the edge to burn slightly anywhere the sauce touches. Now you're going to add the pizza crisp. Use a 2-ounce portion for a large and slightly less pizza crust for a medium. Remember, some pizzas that have a lot of wet ingredients, like vegetable supreme, call for double pizza crisp. Make sure you're paying attention to your recipe and adjust the amount of pizza crisp you use accordingly. We're shooting for crispy pizza here at Orlando's, and this is part of the solution. Look at a pizza with the pizza crisp. It is quite a bit. Believe us when we say it makes a huge difference. Now we're adding toppings and cheese. Some of our toppings are placed under the cheese because they taste better or to keep them from burning. These ingredients are the pizza beef, sun-dried tomatoes, Canadian bacon, and broccoli. Choose the pre-portioned cheese bag that's labeled for the size of pizza that you are tossing. Grab a handful of pepperonis and place them on top of the pizza. The pepperoni is always touching all over the pizza, but not overlapping. Once you've got your toppings on, don't forget the oregano. Don't forget the oregano. Don't forget the oregano. Voila! You have a pizza. Now place the pizza into the pizza oven on the conveyor and let the oven go to work. Notice the placement of the pizza. It's on the very edge of the chain and towards the front of the chain. Now lift the dough from the table. A common practice is to slap the dough. Slapping the dough removes the flour, but it also helps begin to stretch the dough. After the slap, it's time to throw. Now lay the dough out. Look at it. Is it nice and round? Does it still have a little flour left on it? Does it have a nice border? Are there any holes? We found a hole in our pizza dough, so we're going to fix it using the pinch method. You just take some of the dough and pinch it over the hole, just like this. Notice the thickness of the dough. There are no places where you can see through the dough. Now we'll dock the dough. This is a large pizza, and we'll dock the dough thoroughly. However, if a customer ordered a thick crust large pizza, you would barely dock the crust. That would allow the crust to bubble and expand. If a customer orders a medium thick crust pizza, use the large dough ball. If they order a small, use the dough of a medium pizza. And you dock those like normal. Remember when you sauce the pizza to pour most of the sauce directly in the middle of the dough, then spread it out with the bottom of the ladle. Be very careful not to get the pizza sauce on the very edge of the crust. Next, the pizza crisp. Remember, the 2-ounce portion for a large. Spread it evenly over the top of the pizza. There will be times that customers order a crispy pizza crust. In that case, you'll prepare the dough, you'll dock it, place it on the correct screen, you'll place it halfway into the oven to run it through, then you'll re-dock the dough, then add your sauce, pizza crisp, and your ingredients. Cook it as usual. Now grab the appropriate portion of cheese and spread the cheese evenly over the top of the pizza. Pizza beef, sun-dried tomatoes, Canadian bacon, and broccoli all go under the cheese. Put those on before you actually put your cheese on the pizza. Notice as he adds the pepperonis around the edge of the pizza, they are touching but not overlapping. When adding wet ingredients to your pizza, it's crucial that you squeeze the extra moisture out of them before you add them to your pizza. This is true of green chilies, as shown here, tomatoes, and mushrooms. If you add the ingredients and they're still wet, it will make the pizza soggy. And as you know, Orlando's likes a crisp pizza. If you anticipate a really busy shift, drain your wet vegetables ahead of time for efficiency on the line. And don't forget the oregano. Now it's time to pop that pizza into the oven. Again, note where the pizza is placed on the edge of the chain. Now, let's watch a small. Now we have a hole in our dough here, so watch as Larry fixes it. Simple pinch, and you're good to go. Now let's dock it. Now sauce it. Pizza crisp it. Add your toppings. And of course, add oregano. Now look at this beautiful pizza. Notice how our toppings are just slightly around the edge, just where they should be. All of our pizzas are cut into 8 pieces. Your pizza should not sag when you pick a piece up. It should be pretty firm, just like this. Notice where the crust bubbled up on the edge. We'll pierce that bubble and then manipulate the pepperonis over it so you can't see it. Now, it's a perfect pizza! Now, can you say focaccia? Let's talk about the differences between that and pizza. The biggest difference is that instead of a pizza sauce, we brush the dough with melted garlic butter. We usually keep it on the oven to keep it melted. When a focaccia is removed from the oven, it's cut into 16 pieces rather than 8. All focaccias are cut this way. Make sure you've got good coverage of the garlic butter spread over the crust. We're going to add chicken to this focaccia, so watch as Larry cuts the chicken breasts into very thin slices. Now he evenly spreads the diced chicken over the focaccia. Looks yummy already. Remember to squeeze the extra moisture out of your green chilies, mushrooms, and tomatoes before you put them on your pizza, or else your pizza will be soggy. Nobody likes a soggy pizza. Now our other pizza's finished, so we're going to cut it into 8 pieces. I know you've seen pizza boxes, and we have them too. Something to note is that we also have moisture-absorbing liners that we put under our pizza inside our box. In case the pizza's wet, it keeps the moisture in the liner instead of on the crust or in the box. We also added a plastic pizza box support. It helps support the top of the pizza box to keep the pizzas from being crushed. Cooks sometimes call them Barbie tables. We have garlic butter and green chili butter. Note they're 2 different butters. The plain garlic butter isn't as thick as the green chili butter. You'll see chunks of garlic in the bottom of it. That's our plain garlic butter. The green chili butter is much thicker due to an abundance of cheese in the mix. Take a look. The difference is striking and very important when you're building a pizza. Now let's look at the pesto. On both pesto focaccia and pesto base, the pesto goes on the crust at the base of the pizza. In order to put pesto on any pizza evenly, it's really best to use pesto that's been warmed slightly. We use 2 of the portion cups for a large, 1½ tubs of the pesto for a medium, and 1 tub for a small pizza. Take the pesto and spoon onto the crust and spread evenly around the pizza crust, leaving a slight edge. Remember to sprinkle with the correct amount of pizza crisp and proceed with the cheese and toppings. Now here's an example of a crispy pizza crust. We ran it through halfway. Now we'll dock it again. And we'll add our sauce, pizza crust, and ingredients, and cook it like usual. These are your sun-dried tomatoes. They're different from your fresh tomatoes that are on the line. These are kept underneath in the refrigerator. Notice anything here? We've seen something like this before. We're going to pierce those bubbles, lay them flat, and then we're going to slice our pizza into 8 pieces. Now, I do say that is a crispy pizza. This pizza pie will have Alfredo sauce. When a pizza is ordered with Alfredo sauce, you need to prepare your dough, get it to the correct size, and get it docked. Next, take your pizza crust to the sauce station and spread warm Alfredo sauce over the pizza crust. Spreading the sauce with a ladle to get a good, even layer. Add your pizza crisp and your ingredients, and you're ready to put it in the oven. There will be some cases where a customer will order extra cheese. In that case, you'll use 2 bags of mozzarella for the correct size pizza. If they order light cheese, that means you use half of the designated cheese bag. You'll pour the rest of the cheese into a cheese container and save it for something else. Another special order you might get is adding queso on a pizza crust. It doesn't happen very often, but if it ever does, you'll need to know how to do it. You'll need to make sure you have queso warmed up to put on the crust, so begin cooking your queso as soon as your ticket comes up. Now you need to prepare your dough, get it to the correct size, and get it docked. Now take your warm queso, spread it around the pizza crust, giving it a nice, even layer. Remember to sprinkle the correct amount of pizza crisp and proceed with the cheese and toppings. These are just some variations of sauces that we occasionally are requested to use. So now you know how to make a few pizzas. This information isn't foreign anymore. We're still here to help you and train you. You've learned a lot today about making an Orlando's pizza. Thanks for paying attention. If you have any questions, feel free to ask your trainer. Again, we don't want you practicing on our customers. They do deserve better. Our goal is to send out a beautiful pizza every day and every time. So practice, practice, practice. You'll be glad you did.